Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Daily Dose. It's been 5 weeks, Dr. Mary.
5 weeks.
5 fabulous weeks.
They've been good.
Clearly, we didn't work on our opening. I was going to. I had some good intentions about the Daily Dose things I was going to do. And then I did none of those things.
Well, you kind of were busy.
I was busy. And you know what we actually did on our break? We broke. We braked, however you want to say it.
We took a break.
We took a break, which I think is vitally important for everybody to do from time to time, if you can. Not everybody can, but we were fortunate. And so we took the break, and now I guess we're back.
Yes. Yes,
for good or for bad. We hope you had a great 5 weeks as well, had a lovely August. It's impossible to imagine that we are in our second week of September. Unbelievable. But here we are. So Dr. Mary and I had an interesting conversation yesterday. We drove to Itasca, which has kind of become our Labor Day tradition. And on the way there, we didn't have a fight. We didn't have a disagreement. We had one of those conversations where there was some miscommunication. And it ended the way these conversations often end. We worked through it, and Dr. Mary said something to the effect of, geez, we've been together almost 21 years. You'd think we'd have this all worked out and that there'd be no more complications. But here's what
this is good.
I think is important about yesterday. Yes, we have been together. Later this week, Sunday. On Sunday, we will have been together 21 years. Happy almost anniversary, Dr.
And to you, Jenny.
Thank you. But we've only been in this iteration of our relationship for 5 years,
7 months,
7 months and 5 days. So while we have this long history and we have this back and forth relationship, we never had a relationship based on Maz's sobriety, ever. So in some ways, we are learning how to recommunicate still. And we're only 5 years in. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, this does encompass quite a few things. One of them, I think the important one is, when I was in rehab, one of our counselors said to us every morning we had to fill in a bit of paper of what we were going to do that day. How is today going to be different than the day before? And, how would you improve this? The answer was always communication, communication, communication. If you want a relationship to work, you have to communicate correctly with each other. It's just actually that plain and simple. You can take it for granted how you communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been given a day to think about this, and you hear of this from every couple I've ever met with, oh, you know what I meant. It's like I try to say something, I completely bollocks it up, but you knew what I was trying to say anyway, so we're good. That doesn't actually fix it really in the long term. For anything to work, for sobriety to work especially, you have to communicate your feelings. For a relationship to work, to rekindle a relationship, to keep a relationship working, you have to communicate correctly. At work, to be effective at work, you have to communicate correctly. It's not actually as easy as you'd think.
Well, no, because people bring their biases and their past experiences and their past relationships to every new conversation, their own insecurities, their vulnerabilities, their all the things. And it is tricky to navigate when you think one thing, but the other person may perceive it entirely differently. I can't even remember what yesterday's deal was about. It doesn't really matter, but it was one of those kind of classic ongoing disagreements that we have, where it often starts with, well, you know that I don't think that. Yeah, but it's how I take it. Yeah, but it's whatever. I mean, it's a tried and true
I'm guilty of this
disagreement.
myself. This happens to me, actually, not with you. This happens to me sometimes when I'm at work. Someone would say to me, "Oh, what you'll have to know about me is," and I thought, "Oh, here we go." And
You said that too fast. I think people didn't hear you.
someone would say to me in a conversation, "Well, what you have to know about me
what you have to know about me is."
I think, "Oh, good, here we go." Someone who has got an excuse for something, which is completely unfair, because to them that's a huge deal. You may have heard something similar. They could be trying to tell you the truth to explain something to you. So, it's always, there's a lot of patience that goes on with correct communication as well.
Well, I think about the phrase "I have to say," which I think I use a fair amount. I have to say, I don't like this. But Dr. Mary did his PhD with someone who will remain unnamed.
First few words out of her mouth every time
were always,
she wanted to
"I have to say," as if what she had to say was some sort of glorious edict, proclamation, and everyone should stop and pay attention. I almost went into a little Vanilla Ice there, but I decided not to mortify myself. If you're from the 90s,
that's a good call.
I know it was the right choice. But if you're from the 90s, as soon as I did,
that took me a second there.
I bet you did exactly what I did, didn't you?
Concentrate and listen. Is that?
Yeah, collaborate
and listen.
Anyway. When she said, "I have to say," it irritated Dr. Mary. So when I said, "I have to say," guess what it did to Dr. Mary? It irritated him, because he was carrying over his past experience with the phrase, whether that was my intention or not. I will say, I do think that if you start a sentence with "I have to say," what you're saying is, I am pretty important, and I'm going to share with you my important thoughts. So stop.
I actually had this experience too once, and it's the written word as well you should be careful with. Dana was editing a paper for me once, or a paper draft, I should say, to be technical. And I had a sentence that actually said, "One must remember that, comma."
It was so pretentious.
You just don't need that.
No. So I think the interesting thing about this idea is just, again, we're talking about it from a place of having a 21-year literal relationship, but kind of a 5-year new relationship inside the 21-year longer relationship, and what that entails. But it's true for all of us because we're evolving. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't want to stop. This is what I think I remember now. This is one of the biggest things that's a huge killer for any long-term relationship. There's a difference. You learn from the past. You have to. You learn from the past and you move on. If you dwell in the past or dredge up the past during a conversation, that's very detrimental and will lead to problems down the line. You have to know when to move on. You learn from what's been done before, but you don't keep dwelling about it. It's probably a good thing to say.
Which reminds me of the Guest Thursday conversation we had with Dr. Amy Hoyt from Mending Trauma earlier this summer, sometime in July, where she sort of said the same thing. And I said, "Amy, do you think it's problematic that we keep bringing up 2 times a week, twice a week,
Thank you.
Maz's alcoholism then?"
Let's not go on that one.
And she said no, which I was grateful for, because we're not bringing it up so that Maz can feel shame all over again, and I can feel superiority, or I can feel vulnerability or disappointment or whatever emotions I was feeling or Maz was feeling. That's not the purpose of bringing it up. The purpose of bringing it up now is to be a springboard for other conversations, for other people who are not yet past that very traumatic point in their lives, that pain point. Okay. So are we done with this conversation? Or do you have anything else you want to add?
Nothing that springs to mind. I probably will remember something really cool in about 10 minutes when I'm driving to work.
Well, that's all right. I want to say this to you listening on it. Oh, Anne Riley. Hold on. Thanks, Anne.
Oh, hey, Anne.
I want to say this to you. I have to say, scratch all of that.
That's a low blow.
I know, scratch all of that prefacing and let me just do it. One thing we talked about yesterday in Itasca was what's the deal with Daily Dose? It was kind of telling to us both that when we took the break in August, I set up guests. So we have guests through the month of September, but we didn't do anything else beyond that. We didn't think about it. We clearly didn't work on our opening. We didn't plan out Tuesday conversations. And I wonder if that's telling of anything. I don't know that it is, but I wonder if it is. Is Daily Dose running its course? Is it wrapping up? Is it time to think about it differently? Mother says, in my world, this is nice to be back. That should generate an eye roll. Only because you are the greatest prefacer on the planet. In my world, we all live in the same world, Mother. But I'm glad you're back. I'm glad to be back. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know that we'll stay back. We might. I don't know. We've got to get back into the rhythm and routine of it. I can tell you this. I don't think we said this at the start. I didn't miss it. Did you miss it? Did we say this?
We did.
Oh, gosh. 12 minutes ago. I've already forgotten what we said. I didn't miss it. So I don't know.
Not in a bad way.
No, not in a bad way. I love it.
I mean, it's not that we're bored with it. It's just you sort of get to the point of, can I consistently say something that's useful?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we had 5 years to catch up on. I think maybe we've caught up. But you know what I mean? We had a 5-year journey, or 5-year, 7-month journey.
3-year. Because we've been doing it for 2 years.
But, you know, it was everything that happened since I've been sober and what all that meant. And maybe we've told everything.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, today's conversation was based on something from yesterday. So we just have to think about it. But I guess the question for you, audience, is, do you have thoughts on it? I mean, you're showing up, so we appreciate that, and it's great. But do you feel like it's redundant? Do you feel like you show up sort of out of obligation, or because you really want to? So we'd love your thoughts, feedback. You can send them now or later. I think we can be done early today. It's the first day of school, Dr. Mary. You know, you don't have any homework. There's not
another one.
It's like we've gone through the syllabus. So at any
rate,
it
actually is the first day back at school for some people around here.
That's true. We'll be back on Thursday with a guest. Can't for the life of you tell me who it is. Got to get back into the A game. But thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you. Happy fall, despite the beautiful, beautiful weather. We'll see you Thursday.
See you Thursday.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.